Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day of 21 Days of Self-Care. I've got my friend Joanna here with me. Joanna, how are you doing today?
I am very good, and you?
I'm doing well. It's good to have you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm excited for everyone to learn more about you. And so tell everyone who you are. Who is Joanna and what do you do?
Oh my gosh, do you have an hour? No.
I mean,
So yeah, well, I'm Joanna. I'm a functional medicine practitioner and registered naturopath in Quebec. My specialty is helping people get better through healing their gut and helping them getting their nutrient levels back on track. So, of course, I came to this because I myself experienced those things in the past.
That's
like
always the
many
best
of us,
way, yes.
and yeah, my passion is really about everything about the gut, all these microbes and everything. And yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, that sounds really cool. Microbes. Tell
Yeah.
me more about microbes. I'm like intrigued by that word. What are microbes? What do they do? Where do we find them?
Yeah, really fun. So obviously we have our microbiome, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
it's hosting a whole lot of microbes and bacteria. And in actual fact, they have such a massive impact on our body at all levels: cognitive, metabolic, and digestive, even more, even energy.
Right.
Yeah, having a good level of microbes and bacteria and a good balance of them in the gut is what helps us thrive.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. And I love that the gut is something that I feel like we're more in tune to now because there's a lot more food sensitivities and intolerances. And, you go to parties, everything's labeled. So tell us a little bit more about the gut. Like, why is it important for us to take care of our gut?
Well, I mean, if there's so many reasons why, but certainly I think the very first one that I like to tell my clients about is the connection between the gut and the brain. This gut-brain connection through the vagal nerve, which is that nerve that goes from the top of your skull to the bottom. I like to call it a tree, actually.
Like a tree inside your body.
I just imagine a tree, right?
Right.
You see the leaves at the top and the trunk in the middle of the body, and then the roots in the gut.
Right.
And that really is that, we actually know now that there's more discussion from the gut to the brain than the other way around. And so it's so important that if we want to feel well, have energy, feel focused, have everything going in our direction to have a good life,
right,
we need to have a good balance in the gut. I don't think anybody who feels, I don't know, bloated or has headaches or is feeling depressed, because the gut has an impact on depression and anxiety too,
right,
feel good. Those people don't feel good, right? So having a good, healthy gut can impact all of these elements. It's not just the digestive system, it's actually everything else it connects to.
Sounds like it really connects to mental health a lot more than people would think.
Absolutely, 100%. Right. You know that about 80% of your serotonin, which is your happy neurotransmitter, is produced in the gut.
Produced in the gut. And so what can we do to boost those serotonin levels, or what are the things we do that decrease those levels?
So I'll answer the last one first.
Yes.
Stress definitely is one.
Okay, yes.
So, and stress in so many forms, right? It could be the stress from external stressors around you that leads you to perceive a danger and then run from it, right? Because that's biologically what happens.
Right.
And so this fight or flight response, which is often chronic these days because we encounter one stress. I mean, we have the boss setting a deadline and we're stressed about it.
Yeah.
And then we have the kids waiting, at school and we're late to pick them up. That's another stress. And then we layer these stress out.
Right.
And we end up in a kind of a chronic sympathetic nervous system mode where, we're constantly on the go, on the stress. And it's biochemistry, but basically what happens is you tell your digestive system not to digest.
Right.
There is no time to digest.
Right.
There's only
We're too stressed. We have things to do.
Exactly. You got to get the glucose to run away from the danger. And very often we don't even run.
Right. No.
We just stay seated.
Yeah.
So it's even
worse.
We're
running in our minds.
Exactly. So that's definitely something that I would be really, really wary about, is that if you have a chronic sympathetic nervous system activation, so this fight or flight mode constantly, it's going to affect your gut health negatively, for sure, 100%. The diversity of microbes and bacteria there. Now, to improve it, well, yeah, certainly reduce the stress.
Right.
But also eat good foods, because crap foods such as junk foods, they're this internal stress,
right,
that I was mentioning before.
Right, because you talked about external stress, like your circumstances, but the internal stress is your food.
The food that you eat, the toxins you're exposed to.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, you want to be wary about what do you put in your body, right? It's what you put in your mind, what you put in your body. And then in turn, you'll end up having a digestive system that can thrive, you know, if it has the good nutrients and fiber to really thrive on.
Wow. I love that. I love how easily you broke that down. You know, what you put in your mind, what you put in your body, and what you allow to affect you in your circumstances all come together to either help your stomach thrive or not so thrive.
Not so thrive. Exactly.
And so I know that sometimes when people have, you know, it's very common these days for people to say, oh, I have stomach issues. Like, it's just a thing I have. Or like, oh, you know, on these days I feel like this or whatever. How can people start noticing specifically what's happening inside of them so that they're better able to take action? Because sometimes if it's fuzzy and you don't really know what's going on, you don't even know that you can do anything about it, right? So how do people start developing that understanding and language?
Well, I mean, I think there's many ways to do that. You got to be aware first, because a lot of people ignore.
Right.
They just like put it aside and like, well, you know, for later.
I don't have time.
I don't have time. But a symptom takes already a long time to take. There's a long process in the body before you get a symptom.
Right.
And so you got to understand, when you start having a symptom, regardless what the symptom is, it means for a while already your body has been in an imbalanced state. Something's gone haywire.
Right.
So obviously understanding what that imbalance is very important.
Yes.
When it comes to the gut, honestly, diet is so powerful, but also stress reduction, stress management, there's a lot that you can do already with that. So just having a clean diet. And, you know, I have a lot of clients that tell me, oh, I eat very healthy. Okay. And, you know, I follow them with the Food and Mood Journal. I see what they eat. I'm like,
But because they think it's healthy,
because
though.
They think it's healthy. Yes. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what eating healthy is.
Looks like, yes.
And also eating healthy is very different per person, because we all have different needs. We are bio-individual.
Right, absolutely.
So, you know, eating gluten for you, for example, might be totally fine.
Right.
If you thrive, you know, you'll be fine on it.
Right.
But for me, for example, it's a disaster.
Absolutely.
It's inflammation waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So I think identifying what foods trigger you and don't trigger you is very important.
Yes.
And filling yourself with just good whole foods. Not buy junks and not buy at the restaurant too much. Avoid things with labels, with endless list of ingredients.
Right.
Just fill yourself with good food. We're lucky enough to live in a world where we have access to good food.
Yes.
It's not the case everywhere on this planet.
Right. That's fair.
So just go to the local farmer, get yourself some good amount of vegetables, good proteins, good fats. Have a diversity of things to feed those microbes properly. But yeah, diet is really important. Identifying your food sensitivities is going to be key, if you have any. And in my experience, majority of people, I would say, have food sensitivities.
Right.
For some, it's just a stupid thing like a tomato.
Right.
For others, it's a bigger thing like gluten.
Right.
You know, some others, it will be dairy. It depends. But yeah, I think those are key elements to look into when you have we start having symptoms, to just take stock. Where are you at? Where are you eating? What you put in your mind?
Right.
Are you having ruminating thoughts and worries all the time, or actually doing self-care?
Right.
Taking care of yourself, taking time to laugh.
I love laughing.
To have joy. Yeah, you know. But so many people don't even laugh and joy and have joy anymore.
Yeah.
And that that affects the gut.
Yeah. Wow. That's very powerful, really, a lot of what you said, because it's like you said, it's that compounding effect, the ruminating thoughts and the bad food, and sometimes they trigger each other, because if I'm stressed, sometimes I might say, oh, because I'm stressed, let me eat this. But it sounds like it's just a disaster.
Yeah, that's the
in
thing.
combination.
Stress definitely makes us make bad choices, right?
Right.
I mean, it's very common to, and it's even biochemical. Like when you're stressed, you're gonna want more sugar. You need to access your glucose. I mean, it's kind of the thing. So
which makes sense, because if you're stressed, your body is like, oh, we need to run away. Let's eat that glucose so we have that energy to
run. Exactly.
Except when you're just sitting.
We just sit. We just and stuff ourselves with the muffin.
Basically. Now, I know that labels can be very dangerous, in the sense that sometimes, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation, maybe intentional, maybe not intentional, where you see on the label, it says, oh, healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, like free of something, which is like irrelevant. But then when you flip the back, you're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so tell everybody, give just a brief overview of what people should be looking at, because I find that sometimes, like I had a friend once actually did a video on this, where she thought she was drinking a healthy drink.
Yeah.
That was her full intention. And if you saw the bottle, it was like aloe. It said it was like an aloe drink, and so she offered me one, and I was like, oh, I'm good. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I should let her know why I'm not having one. I'm not having one because majority of those drinks are full of sugar.
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh, but this is a healthy one. And she flipped it, and she was like, oh my goodness, it was worse than pop, worse than juice, worse than all the junk she thought she was avoiding.
Yeah.
So in that situation, do you think it's intentional? Like the people, creating the labels?
Yeah, I think it's marketing, right?
Right.
Companies know that people are looking for healthier solutions. So if it's written on it, then it's cast in stone.
Healthy.
It's healthy, but or even like less than 2 grams of sugar.
Right.
But the thing is, obviously, if you have a drink like that once, it's not going to hurt you that much. But if you have that regularly, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, because you think it's healthy. You
because
might
you
have
think
it regularly.
It's healthy, exactly. Right. And I think what you should always look at the label, look at the list of ingredients, and then make sure there's as little ingredients as possible.
Right.
That's basically the bottom line.
Yeah.
For me, a kombucha should only have kombucha.
yeah, it should be like
it should just be the green tea or black tea with the SCOBY ferment and even unfiltered, right?
Right.
Same with I don't know, coconut water. It should be
coconut water. If you look at the ingredients, it shouldn't say like blah blah blah.
No, I think the worst for me are the vegetarian plant-based milks.
Plant-based milk. Oh yes, I know.
Because I have a lot of my
almond milks.
I have to often convert people to dairy-free for depending on conditions, right? Not always, but and then they switch to that. But then I have to educate them, because the thing is, you need to have just almond and water.
But that's impossible to find, pretty much.
And so there's one brand here where we are that actually you can find it, but only one. I only find
I'm very curious. Which one? Because I have that problem. Elmhurst. Okay, so it's just almonds and water.
It's going to be just almond and water.
Wonderful.
Or hazelnut and water.
Okay.
Maybe salt, a little
bit. Of course. A little bit of,
But otherwise, do it yourself. It's going to be so much cheaper.
Right.
It's going to take 5 minutes.
Right. So make your own. Like if you can't find something that has
the plant-based milk, they're probably the worst that I can see in like, oh, this is healthy to not drink milk and
then
have
a
plant-based, and then you've got a list of 20 ingredients. This is not.
You can't pronounce any of them.
No, Silk is the worst.
Yeah,
brand.
Silk is the worst. Yeah, that's true.
And
people think they're doing something better for themselves.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's the Silk with all the bad ingredients and sugar.
Yeah. But all of that your liver has to process.
Yes.
And so if your liver is overburdened by this amount of toxins and foreign substances that your body doesn't know what they are, we can't even pronounce them. So that's a good sign too. Well, I mean, imagine, what it does downstream to the rest of your gut, right? Creates inflammation. And then your liver gets exhausted, and your liver, oh my gosh, you don't want your liver to go against you. No.
Because that's a whole different set of trouble.
Yeah.
So you talked about how the gut, like we've now found out that the gut sends more information to the brain than the other way around. So what's the gut saying to the brain when you are good and eating well? What kind of messages is it sending?
Certainly, you're gonna have this production of good neurotransmitter happening more. The level of bacteria that you have in your gut, they all have a different role and they send different signals.
Right.
But certainly it will tell your brain that you're safe.
Safe, which we all care about.
That you're safe, that you can have a good energy production, and that you can really produce more of what you need to thrive and have energy.
Right.
It will just give all the indication that, okay, it's all good.
Of well-being. Yeah, like you're confident. You can do this. You can all the things you want your body saying to you.
Exactly.
And then when you're eating bad, it's just telling you, what is it telling you?
Well, it's just telling you the opposite.
You can't do anything. You suck.
It's making everything sluggish.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're too tired. You can't do this.
You're going to end up just like, it depends on the people, again, because we're all very different. And for some, it will materialize within 20 years. For some others, it will materialize within 10 years, 5, 2. It really depends.
Yeah.
But eventually it will catch you up.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Now, how does movement fit in with this? Because I know nutrition, movement, all of these things tend to go together. How does it fit into this signaling?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, there's nothing more powerful than movement to generate more ATP in your mitochondria. So your mitochondria is your energy factory in the body. And ATP is that molecule of energy, right? So you want a good production of ATP.
Right.
And movement, exercise is really like
what tells your body.
What will really help your mitochondrial health the most, I would say. And then, of course, the diet, certainly.
Yes.
But movement is key for so many reasons. Like even if you eat like a high sugar load of a meal, and by that I say it doesn't have to be that you eat a cookie.
Right.
You could just be eating a plate of pasta.
Rice, pasta.
It's carbohydrates, it's sugar.
Stuff. Right.
So you're just gonna have a lot of that, and then if you just stay seated, it's just kind of, it doesn't really get expelled.
Right.
Expanded.
Right.
So a 15-minute walk after eating is the most powerful thing you can do for your metabolic health.
Right.
It's simple. You don't need to go a high intensity interval training, although those things are good too. They have their space.
Yes.
But I think walking,
just a basic 15 minutes of walking after you eat. Game changer. Even if you didn't eat the healthiest thing, that 15-minute walk is going to make all the difference.
Already.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%.
That's powerful. And then what about people who have difficulty moving because of pain? So sometimes we end up seeing people like that because we specialize in compression therapy, right?
Yeah.
So there's people, for example, who work on their feet all day, they're standing all day, sitting all day, and their legs are getting tired, and now you're telling me I gotta go walk. So how do you manage all of that?
I think it really depends on the person, but even small movement or strength training, like resistance training, it goes such a long way.
Yes.
So if it's too hard to go for a walk because of a pain, if you have the ability to use other body parts to do a bit of weight,
move something else.
Just the usage of your muscle mass is important, and then it will increase your cardiovascular response too, right? And so even if you just do weights with your arms, imagine you're in pain with your legs.
Right.
Okay, and if you're in pain with your arms, you move a bit your legs. Like to find a way to just include movement on a daily basis, because actually the pain will increase unless you move a bit more.
Right.
And it's about respecting the limits of your body at that specific point. But of course, also with injuries, despite of course looking into seeing a specialist, there's a lot of, like, for example, proteolytic enzymes that you take outside of meals that really help in tissue repair. So you can also take things to help with tissue repair while you gain that ability again to move a bit more.
Okay, I love that. There's always something you can move.
Yes, always.
Well, on that note, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in to this day of 21 Days of Self-Care. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Joanna.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I loved it.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bye.